What do you get when you mix AI with someone who doesn't know what they want? A really interesting answer.
Or a really wrong answer.
A really wrong answer. Let's discuss.
So, let's talk like AI in general. You take and you put a prompt in. You're talking maybe to the free version because you don't want to pay. You don't want to take and spend those beautiful dollars of yours. What do you get?
Well, let's talk about this first. There's the free AI. There's the paid AI. There's the specialized, localized AI per subject. There's also the big meta AIs. There's the
agentic AI where you got the specialized agents and what they're supposed to do.
Yep. Then you got your free Geminis, your Siris, which are basic AIs.
You got of course, your ChatGPTs.
ChatGPTs. There's so many forms of AI now, and they're all so very different. I don't care what anybody says. They are 100% different. You ask the same question to three different AIs.
You're going to get some funny answers.
Very different answers.
And if you ask the same AI from the free plan to the paid plan, you're going to get very different answers.
Tested that one out.
Yes. You feed it code that you know is working, and you tell it to make it better. Well, let's just be honest. The free version may give you code that doesn't even come close to giving you the same results.
And that's the best part of AI is if you know what you're looking for, you can tell it no and have it correct you. But if you have no idea what you're asking for, you just want to ask it something general, I almost want to say guaranteed will give you the wrong answer first.
Oh, see, and it's going to give you an answer, and if you correct it, it is the most encouraging thing ever. You're right.
Oh, good catch. I love that. I love that when you correct it, you're like, no, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, good catch on that. Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you had it wrong in this line of code, even though you're like, wait a second, didn't you just a step sooner give me that code? So that error isn't really mine. It's actually yours.
Yes, AI. I love AI when it gives you all the wrong answers, and then you tell it, no, I don't think that's right.
Well, see, the best part is like right now I'm working on some AI assisted code where you say, okay, I want to design this. And it's, oh, yep, I fixed it, I moved it, I see it. And you look at the interface and you're like, no, nothing's changed. And you have to specifically tell it, no, you're going to go to this section of CSS code, you're going to change it here. And then it's like, oh, that's wonderful, that would do it. And you're like, yeah, I know. Like, it's the whole point.
Yes, AI, it is branching into every industry. Whether you want it to or not, it is becoming a must-have. See it in the medical field, see it in the engineering field, of course you see it in the IT field. Yeah. It's touching little things like even libraries and stuff, people who are doing documentation gathering, secretary work. It's doing notes for hospitals. Doctors now can do scribes and stuff.
It's taking transcriptions to a whole new level, giving you, of course, summaries. Everybody's seen the summaries of it. Of course, we talk the good, the bad, and that. The fact of the matter is it will change. It will change our lifetime as we know it. It will change over time and grow and become better. But it's always funny just to take a step through the simple mistakes that it does make.
Yeah. So for reference, everybody keeps thinking AI is a young technology, a 2-3-year-old technology. That is absolutely not true. AI pretty much started, was it 1960s? I'll say probably a little bit before that, but documentation for coding and stuff, that's where you first start seeing the AI, which is absolutely nothing like what we think of today.
Nowhere near the advancements we come to. It's also people even today, you know, they grew up in this era of ChatGPTs, the Geminis, that where they see, oh, look, it's an AI-based agent or it's an AI chatbot. But what they don't realize is really like a chatbot AI agent is really an automated workflow, something that they took the human process and they just turned it into an automated process. Yep. Not really AI in the sense of it's making decisions yet.
No, we are still very much back in the 1960s. It's a program. It's running through a program. It's running through calculations. It's told basically what it can and can't do. It is able to think. It is able to research. It is able to look out now with the internet and everything being text-based. It does scan. But it's still limited to like satire things. If you ask any one of them, meta AIs or something, and it finds it in poetry, if it finds it in satire, if it finds it on some Reddit thread, it doesn't know. It just knows that this is documentation. This has been published. This must be what you're looking for. And if you're going to WebMD some stuff and get some weird, crazy stuff, or if you ask it the wrong thing,
you may get some good answers.
You're going to get some great answers. And that's the issue with AI right now is that it's still a program. It's still very much set to think. It can't analyze anything.
It's not to the point where it's making the human decision or putting the human eyes on it. Now, there are some really cool advancements, at least from the coding side. Um, OpenAI released Codex, which of course looks at your code repositories, can interact directly with it. It also has the actual ability to see your computer screen, so it can actually start doing a lot of that front end coding, and actually really interacting. How does it change that? So really some cool advancements, but still looking at it from the piece of it's still a machine. At the end of the day, it's still a machine. It's still doing that. I know people are afraid it's going to take over the world. We're going to end up with a Terminator type scenario.
I've actually heard that. People keep talking about the self-driving cars now and all that, and I keep telling people it's still very basic. The self-driving car, if you actually break all that stuff down, you're still got a camera. It's looking at white lines. It's looking at yellow lines. It's keeping your car in between there. It is using maps, and it is using all your Garmin stuff, basically, to get you a location. But as for making those decisions for you, if the sensor wasn't there to tell you, hey, a car's getting close, or hey, there's a gap, it's still very much a program. If there's a gap, you speed up. If there's not a gap, you slow down. There are lines here. You can't go over this one. You can't go over that one. It's still very logic-based.
And very much so. Like that, like Landon mentioned, the camera technology in those cars is really looking at the differences of the imaging. So as it comes in and it sees, hey, by the way, there's suddenly a new object that shouldn't be there in a different 3D space. It's using that. It's using LiDAR technology to determine distances and shapes.
It's the processing. That's what makes it look to people as if it's doing all the decision making. Is the processing with the new quantum, especially with technology, the faster processing, nanoseconds, if not faster than nanoseconds.
When we start talking about when does AI scare IT, it's literally when we start stepping into the world of quantum. As quantum processors advance and they begin to make their way into the commercial space, and you mix a quantum processor with AI. That's when we're going to see massive leaps forward.
So that's when the I want to say endless possibilities. Once you get into that realm, you are talking endless possibilities.
I mean, the biggest piece of why AI in that realm makes such a big difference is quantum computing as compared to traditional computing. Instead of dealing with your traditional ones and zeros, you're dealing with millions of different states. You're dealing with the ability to crack the typical SSL ciphers that are protecting pretty much anything. Your banks,
everything,
your banks, your websites, and that. We're cracking that in a matter of moments in the grand scheme of things, compared to maybe 7 months, a year type thing that might take traditional.
Yeah, your 26-bit, your big encryptions. They're, I don't want to say impossible, but they're almost impossible. You're talking years on a in-depth SSL.
And we're talking, when we talk quantum in that realm, we're talking about a technology that we're still learning a lot about. They went from thinking that in the quantum field that it's going to be millions of qubits to now it's going to be 17 to 26,000 qubits, a much more attainable in the short term possibility here than it ever was in the idea of millions when you're dealing with hundreds right now.
Yeah. So as for where I see, everybody who asks me, what do you think or how do you feel about this AI technology, where we are at right now, it doesn't scare me. If you know what you're doing, you know what you're asking, if you know how to ask it correctly, I think it's a great tool. Yeah. It's a very good tool. It does help. If you're going into it blind and asking it randomness or wanting it to do your work for you, it's going to give you something.
Giving it no parameters.
Giving it no parameters, not giving it any lines, not giving it decent or what you think is good information. It's scary what it comes back with.
Yeah, it's one of those pieces. The information that you get out of AI or the product you get out of AI is based upon the amount of work and the amount of time that you're going to put into crafting your prompts, the amount of time you're going to put into testing the product. Especially like I come from the coding field, so if you take and you tell it to create this, that's great, and it will create pieces that look like they're fully operational. And
look is the key word on this.
Exactly, the key word is look, because it has a general sense. Based on that, it may even if you start from the ground up and you're like, design the SQL tables that you're tying to, design the interface that you're doing, and it creates all this. Over time, it can lose track of what you've done. You have to remind it of, hey, by the way, no, that table doesn't have that data. And if you correct it and you take that time, you end up with good product. You can actually come up with something that's half decent. Now it's still not necessarily, especially in the coder sense. There's going to be always the hate towards the vibe coding, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because you don't have that same quality piece, because you have a lot of the mindset is, I can go out and create this app instantly, and then You can.
There's a lot of websites.
You can spin it up. There's a lot of really good.
Base 44 is the big ad right now. Everybody's like, yeah, create a website in minutes.
Yeah, and we have departments making use of Lovable, and it makes a good product, and it can be thorough. Don't get me wrong.
It gives you a good base start. If you don't know what you're doing, it does give you a good base, a good starting point.
But you have to obviously just like in a writing prompt and what it's giving back, you have to vet it, and you have to test it and test the various scenarios, because now you're moving almost the coder role from being a coder to being a designer, and the phase one testers to be sure that it's actually doing what you want.
And that's the next thing, is really knowing how to test some of these AIs, knowing where you're going. You
have to actually know what you're doing.
You have to have a basic idea. I don't say you have to know what you're doing. You have to have a basic idea of how it should look, how it should work. You have to know what you want. You have to know the end goal.
Yeah,
if you're going into it without an end goal, I think that's where you can really get lost in some of these.
I would make the argument. I'd make the argument of the idea of, if you're testing and you're not thorough and you don't necessarily know exactly how it should work or that, you run the risk of making the assumption that the data, even if it saves correctly, even that, you run the risk that when from an audit trail perspective or like a long-term perspective, that you're not necessarily building it out in such a way that it really can be tracked back. I think that's the risky part of users who don't designing systems of how do you take and keep a good record.
Yeah, I would say for fun things, when people ask you, like, what do you see? Where would you like to see this AI? I don't really care where it goes. I think it's going to be in everything. I don't have any.
It's going to be baked in everything.
It's going to be baked. When people are like, what do you really want to see it in right now? Self-driving cars, planes without pilots, ships without captains. I think we're all, with the GPS and everything, I think we're pretty much there where you just have the person to oversee it. I don't foresee us ever getting rid of the drivers in the cars, the pilots in the planes, the captains in the ships. I don't think we'll ever get rid of that. I mean, even trains now, you have to have a button being pushed every few minutes to make sure.
I think the danger in the self-driving car piece, and there's going to be hate, obviously, from the people who really love self-driving cars. It's not that I don't like the technology. I think the technology is great. I think the danger lies in there's always those manual drivers, the people that won't give up the technology. They won't hand themselves over to the machine to drive, which is fine. It's personal preference, right? But now you have human error and AI interacting, and you're always going to still have those points.
AI cannot predict human.
It can't. It doesn't have that exactly. And even if we get to the point where we have AI systems that are fairly predictive in nature, you have to realize that the connectivity that those vehicles need to get to a processing compute that can be that more predictive, we're going to have to increase the capabilities of communication technology overall.
And that's where I see, when people ask, where do you see us going? I would say within the next 100 years, within my lifetime, there's too many people I know that are not going to give in to the machine. They're not going to let AI take over. And I think till the generation, because my generation, our generation, we're on the in-between. We started without it. We started with nothing. We watched it come up, and we watched it start taking over.
We've seen basically the birth of it. It's very similar to the guys that saw the birth of the internet.
Yep.
We saw the birth of really like computer and operating systems as we know.
I would say within the 100-year span, that's the generation. The guys just now being born, the guys just now coming up, they're being born into. AI's always been there. The kids going to school right now, they're in the AI generation. I would say that would be the generation where maybe things will start to really develop, things would really start to grow. And then after that, into their kids where, the kids grew up, they developed it, it's all they knew. Now their kids are growing up, now they would accept the self-driving and the self stuff. They wouldn't know any different.
Well, what are your thoughts on the idea of, like, people talk about brain rot from AI? You see the current generation relying on it very heavily. How does that affect our society over time?
I think we're still too young. I have seen a few people who've given into the AI. I definitely will say there's some of the younger, under 20s, of course, who grew up too heavily. They're getting out of high school now. That's all they've known is ask ChatGPT, ask them how to actually go into card catalogs. Some of the processes with counting the money. There's certain skills. I'm starting to see certain things.
We're starting to affect society in that. And it's not saying that, hey, by the way, we're screwed. It's more looking at it as like, okay, how do we balance traditional knowledge with the idea of AI baked in? Because I thoroughly believe this is going to be baked into everything over the next probably 10 years. We're going to start to see it where software companies build in some functionality. It may not do every single process.
And I see this as a
But-
growing pain. This, from an
Yeah.
IT standpoint, I see this as the growing pain. Yes, there's going to be this first generation that's going to lose out on a lot because they rely on it too heavily. I have faith in the human race. I do think that people will start catching on that, oh man, we're losing these skills. We're
Yeah.
losing this knowledge. Let's go back and grab it.
Yeah.
And I also have faith in people that I like to learn things. If I forget something or I don't know something, I want to figure it out. So I'm hoping that that's still being
That we don't
instilled.
lose that curiosity.
Yeah, that curiosity from people are like, man, how does this work? Let's take it apart. Let's figure it out. I feel like engineers are still going to be there. Your scientists are still going to be there. There's still going to be that mind that wants to figure it out. Now, where that line gets drawn, if somebody doesn't want to learn something, they're going to follow it out. You can't, if you don't want to know, if you don't want to learn.
They're gonna constantly rely upon their phone. I mean, we already see it, and we've discussed this in a previous podcast. The idea of overuse of technology, basically, society going into restaurants existing on their phone. We see it now. Of course,
Yeah.
they're gonna turn to the internet. Now, the fun part is on the day that you have an internet outage,
I love those days.
the panic that ensues is great.
Yeah, the people when you can't get onto YouTube for 30 minutes. Oh my God, I can't search the web for 10 minutes. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost.
Yeah. What about AI and robotics? I mean, we do see AI and robotics already in warehouses. You got the automatic again.
The
really,
Amazon picker
really,
robots,
really
stuff like
sensor driven.
Mhm.
I mean, they're still getting cues in that from there. But if we take a step further and we say, okay,
You're talking like the self-walking robots. The
I'm talking
self-walking dogs,
like if you
true.
look into like China or Europe where they're already doing like the almost Olympics of robotics,
Yep.
where they're running, they're jumping that, but now mix in the actual
Decision-making.
thinking, decision making, even if it's not massive artificial intelligence of where we want to be in the grand scheme of things is the aim of the whole industry, but just like access to information, access to physical movement, and that how does that play out?
I still believe that until quantum actually comes, until the computing actually comes, the robots right now are still very much line program driven.
Yep.
And I mean, I'd love to say I can dream big, and I'd love to say that, yes, one day they will absolutely have a mind of their own. They will be able to think for themselves. We will be living with robots one day. The Amazon follow a track, pick an order. I do think that, yes, we will, Spectre Gadget, one day have more ambidextrous robots that can do more. I would love to think that our technology, we could grow that way. I think there is definitely a place for that. There's a lot of things that, man, if I could get a robot to climb into this tank or whatever and go inspect something into a tight space where there's a danger, if there's a hole, the miners and stuff.
There's a lot of safety applications that could be applied to the
and
robotics.
in that realm, I would love to see robots for firefighting. Nothing. I love my firefighters. I know a lot of them. They're great guys. But if there's a building that's getting ready to collapse and there's somebody inside, I would much rather
send a robot.
I would rather send a robot. My police officers, I love some of those police officers too. But in a hostage situation, I would much rather send a robot in there to go rescue a hostage, to go take care of something.
You gain the precision of the robotics as well. I mean, some of these things are highly precise. I mean, we see the robotics jump, twist. They can spin 180. Like we're talking.
The balancing.
I hate to say seconds, but really microseconds, milliseconds. To be able to mix that with some of that decision making in field, and then you're never going to necessarily get to the human aspect.
No, you'll never get. Like, I don't think we really need to get there.
I would agree. I think it's a dangerous game, honestly, to play the idea that we're going to build AI to be at the same level as humans. I think that's a dangerous game to play.
Because I would say just like humans, if a human can make a bad decision and a human can make a wrong decision, if you make a robot just like a human, why can't he make a bad decision? Why can't he make the wrong decision? Yep. And then, shutting down a human's really easy. I've got beanbag to my chest, a good smoke grenade or something. I'm down. The robot's not going to know any of that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hope for almost localized EMP technology, which we do know that it exists. We've seen it work against drone swarms, but you really have to take and wonder. These robots taken and put into those pieces. I agree. In the safety field, great. You're talking honestly physically faster. I mean, some of these robots where you don't have to worry about the life factor. You're no longer risking the lives of people.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to go home to their families when it's all said and done. But you really got to take and get a good balance between the applications for public safety and what does the criminal world basically do against this. And we're always going to have that. We see that in everything.
And like I said, once again, I think we're getting there. I think we're going to get there. I hope we do draw some lines. I hope we do see over the next 100 years the faults, the trends. I hope we do pick all the stuff out. until 100 years pass, so that you don't know what's going to happen. You don't where people are going to push. Quantum technology might take off. We might see a whole other side. I mean, with technology, the way it's developing and stuff, there is no guessing anymore. Like, guessing is 30 years ago, I could guess what was going to happen.
It's pure guessing. But we live in that generation where the generations leading up to us were like, oh, we're going to have flying cars, and we're going to have that, and we're very much so a much more conservative generation because we've seen how technology, yes, though it's advanced, it doesn't necessarily advance always in the same direction that you would predict. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't, boom, we have flying cars, though there are, of course, the unibody, single or dual passenger flying cars. They're not really flying cars.
Drone cars,
they're like
basically.
fold out the wings or the drone type top on them. So I'd say we're a much more conservative generation in our predictions of saying, hey, by the way, like, we can see things change, but we can't be like, oh yeah, we're gonna be like sci-fi age here. We're gonna suddenly move to laser blasters and that.
And who knows, that one thing, that's all it takes is that one processor, that one thing that
one breakthrough that
we don't know is happening. And that's the best part about IT is there's always somebody working on those gels or those fluids that hold memory, that hold stuff, that get out of the solids. Like
just the advancements in even in battery technology. Like, you think of something as simple as a battery, and how will that affect AI and robotics and that? Well, quite frankly, if you can design batteries that are significantly lighter and more powerful and hold the charge longer, you change industries, which we are. We're seeing them go back to like saltwater style batteries and realize that they can actually charge them faster, charge them longer, and be a lighter battery than even the lithium. Plus, it's more readily available.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is one of those all hypotheticals, all how we feel, what we think, and this is a topic literally
we could talk for forever.
We talk on this one forever because every day something new. Somebody comes out with something. So I would say from our quick little rant and raves, this is a pretty good touch on the topic. Yeah. Just quick little thoughts.
Yeah, and we hope that you join us later for more of these. We like to try and do a podcast here or there, but we're going to try to do some more opinion-based ones. And
I love comments. I love reading comments. If you have a thought on what you think or how you feel, what you see, go ahead, throw it in there.
Yeah. So
might give us something to cover next time.
Thanks for joining us.